This is the ICO Alert Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Finch, COO and co-founder of ICO Alert. On today's podcast, I'm talking to Paul Walsh of MetaCert. Love Paul, awesome dude. I've talked to him here before. We get along real well. He's an Irish gangster with MetaCert, if you will. We talk all things MetaCert, all things MetaCert protocol. Really great dude. If you're wondering, we were trying to meet up at Consensus over a Rose Bar event, which is a really awesome bar in New York. So apologies again for missing you there, Paul. But hope everybody enjoys. Great person, great project. Really appreciate you hopping on. First and foremost, sorry I missed that Consensus event at Rose Bar. It sounded awesome.
Oh,
how'd it go?
Man, you missed something else. We had taken the entire roof terrace of the Rose Bar, and it was top shelf open drinks all night with canopies for 2 hours. We had a guest list strictly by invitation only, 450 people. And then for all the people who weren't on the guest list, there was a line going right around the block.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sucks. I can't believe I missed that.
And it was in competition with Snoop Dogg.
Was he there or what?
No, he was at the other crypto event party that was on. So I think we did pretty well.
Gotcha.
That was a party.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, man.
So it was good.
I love New York.
We met a huge, just very quickly, we actually had really awesome people like the founders of Civic, Raven Protocol, Big Chain DB, Ocean Protocol, Pre-Search, and a bunch of others. And separate to that, I had a professional film crew that was just going to record the party for upcoming events that we decide to do. And then I realized, how often would you have your partners and customers in one room, and how often would you have a film crew? So I put the two of them together separately, and we'll have the most amazing corporate video coming out in about 10 to 14 days.
Nice. Let me know when it's out.
When would you ever get that opportunity? You couldn't possibly pay for that.
You're making me feel bad about not being there now.
It wasn't just that. Coinbase was there, CNBC, GQ. Yep, this was the party. You'll know next time.
Are you going to be in GQ?
No, I didn't even meet them.
I was going to have to buy a copy. Well, what'd you think of Consensus overall?
Well, it's funny how they refer to the blockchain week as Consensus when that's actually 2 days out of like 9 days of events and conferences. But it is the biggest one, isn't it? Consensus specifically, I didn't personally see any value. That particular conference just was mayhem. Nobody in crypto seems to know how to run a conference. But the whole week, we met so many current partners and customers, but we also struck some ridiculously good deals. Like what I'll discuss on this, which is, the CoolBitX hardware wallet. So they're going to integrate MetaCert, and there's a bunch of other integrations that we've kind of agreed to as well. So we're really, really stoked. We didn't hang around with anybody who talked about money. We only hung around with people who talked about adding value to the world. So the negativity that I'm seeing on Twitter is probably restricted to maybe the Bolt party and some people at Consensus. But generally speaking, the majority of the founders, at least that I come across, really give a crap.
So tell us about MetaCert. What is MetaCert? How'd you guys get started? How are you involved with MetaCert? Let's start there.
Well, MetaCert is a security company in the messaging space, and its primary objective is to protect companies that use messaging platforms like Slack and HipChat. It protects them from phishing and malware. MetaCert Protocol is a different entity, which is decentralizing trust and reputation, which is a fancy way of saying that massive cyber threat intelligence system, or that big database that's used by all of those security products at MetaCert, we're decentralizing that on the Ethereum blockchain because, well, first of all, we just want to decentralize trust and reputation for the internet, but then also we need to be able to scale what we already do. So MetaCert Protocol is basically the new protocol for the internet, which will help ISPs, Wi-Fi hotspot providers, mobile device OEMs, browsers, wallets, exchanges, protect their customers from malicious links such as fraud, phishing, malware, and other forms of cyber issues. So yeah, it's a protocol that will be used to help protect people from bad links.
Gotcha. Which obviously there's a huge issue in those messaging apps, which is what MetaCert does, like you said, where last year it was funny, the big issue was Slack and all of the Slack scams, and people would get a direct message from people on Slack and it'd be about an airdrop or something like that. And, you know, I know you guys helped out a lot with that. Now it's Twitter, right? So it's kind of moved to Twitter. Everybody, we joke in the office that the ICO Alert Twitter has finally made it because we have bots that after we tweet anything, the bots are, hey, we're giving away, you know, 10,000 Ether, click this link. But so my question would be, how did you guys help out with Slack, and how do you see this Twitter issue being resolved? Because Twitter, I don't know if they don't care about it or they don't have time or resources or what, but I'd love your insight there.
Well, how we got into it is a nice story. We were about to go to market with a strategy for enterprise customers on Slack and HipChat to find out what they like and dislike and how much they were willing to pay for the service, because we have a lot of big customers that use the software. But we found that in the crypto world, people were being scammed and losing their entire savings inside these communities. When we were introduced to crypto, I think it was somewhere maybe Q2, Q3 of 2017, we didn't really know a whole lot about crypto. We obviously were very familiar with blockchain and Bitcoin, but not cryptocurrency as we know it today in the context of tokens and ICOs, exchanges and wallets. And when we looked at it, we thought, okay, we need to solve this problem, because we spoke to so many people who were being scammed literally every 15, 20 minutes. So we went from predicting it would be a problem on messaging platforms to, wow, this is bad. The houses are on fire. So we spent 3 months iterating the product that we had for Slack specifically, because people were being scammed in a way that we couldn't possibly have imagined. They weren't necessarily just being scammed in public channels. The bad actors were sending phishing messages via the Slackbot API, the Slackbot reminder, the incoming webhook, and direct messages. None of which we addressed, because we never thought for a second, you know, customers like IBM, Sage, F5, NTT Security, we never thought that they would see those kinds of attacks. So it took us 3 months to get that product right. Just before we got a good product fit, some of the bigger communities had migrated to a different platform like Telegram. And when we got that product fit, it was like turning off a tap for phishing. It literally was. We were installed in so many communities that we stopped reading about phishing in Slack in 2018. And that was thanks to companies like Hello Gold, Endorse, Enigma, Raven Protocol, Ocean Protocol, BigChainDB. They all installed MetaCert to protect their communities, because those companies really care about protecting their people from losing their money. But in 2017, we did warn crypto founders and their teams not to migrate away from Slack to another platform, because we literally turned Slack from the least secure platform to the most secure platform for crypto communities. And we warned them, if you move from Slack to something else, then the bad actors will move to that something else. Will, if you move to Telegram, they will move to Telegram. And of course, in 2018, they moved to Telegram. So we came out with a security bot for Telegram, and very quickly it got installed by so many communities. You know, at the time of having this conversation, it's protecting over 350,000 crypto enthusiasts across hundreds of crypto communities. And now it's like we don't hear as much about phishing inside Telegram as we did, say, up to a month ago. And so we predicted again, look, it's going to move from Telegram to somewhere else, because they just go to the least point of resistance. And now it's on Twitter. So now we have to look at Twitter. Right. And already Kryptonite, which is a browser extension we have, it already protects you from fake and malicious Twitter accounts. But we have to look at it a little bit closer and see what else we can do for that platform. But they just go to the least point of resistance, in that if you have a community of houses, a burglar will go to a neighborhood where there's the least number of alarms and dogs, and they'll pick the house then that has the least amount of security. You can't protect yourself 100%. ever from
Right.
anything. But what you can do is you can make it more time consuming and more expensive for the bad guys so that they move to a different community on a different platform.
So how does this security bot work? I mean, I would imagine it might differ to some degree between the various messaging apps, but just kind of broadly, as much as you can, go into detail about what this thing is actually doing.
Yeah, there are certain things that we don't talk about, but
Sure.
obviously if a founding team asked us, we would tell them.
Nice.
The main thing is it protects you from phishing scams. What it takes about 6-7 seconds to add. As an administrator of a community, you go to your group members, search for MetaCert bot, click add, and it's done. It sits in the background, patiently waiting for a bad link. When you post good links, it doesn't do anything. It just checks the MetaCert protocol real quick to see if it's a bad link or a good link. And it does that all of that it's so fast that you don't even notice. It's like 140, 145 milliseconds. When it spots a phishing link, it will send an alert immediately appended to that message to say, this is a phishing scam, don't open this link. And it also now reads crypto wallet addresses, crypto addresses. And if somebody posts a crypto address that's not verified by MetaCert, it will send an alert to say it's unverified. And therefore, you should be careful. If it's a verified address, then it sends an alert, or not alert, but it sends a message to say this is a verified address, because people are sending scam addresses without, scam phishing links. So we had to tackle that issue.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, pros and cons of the blockchain, right? Once you send it, it's gone forever, man. That's awesome. I mean, you guys have done a lot thus far for the crypto community. I know I appreciate it, having seen all of the Slack and Telegram stuff. Here's kind of an off the wall question. Maybe you know it, maybe not. How is it that folks automatically add you to Telegram groups? Because I get added to hundreds, it feels like, and then I've got all these new Telegram groups popping up in Telegram. Doesn't happen on Twitter, doesn't happen anywhere else. But people, investors, traders, seem to use these Telegram numbers as a metric to judge kind of the popularity of these ICOs, that are upcoming or active. Do I want to participate in this? How many other people are interested? Have you guys seen that problem at all yet? Do you know how that happens or anything like that?
Yeah. First of all, they shouldn't look at the number of people in a Telegram group to measure how likely it is to be successful based on the passion of the community. They should actually join the community and just sit back and watch the conversations and see what people say and see how engaging the team is. It's very easy to add somebody. We've never actually, I think one of the problems is when you invite somebody, I think it might automatically add them if you just click OK or the button. And so sometimes it might be a mistake that somebody is inviting 5 people that they really care about. But, if you look at the ICOs and token launches, they're spending many hundreds of thousands, some of them millions of dollars in paid advertising in order to drive traffic straight to their Telegram group. And we did admittedly use earn.com for a tiny, tiny, tiny amount, but it was really intended to bring people so that we could protect them with kryptonite. And it was really just to test the water. But when we launched our own Telegram group, within 3 days, we had about 3,500 people. And that's because they all came from the products that are being used to protect them. So they understood that, when we announced that we were launching our own token to decentralize trust and reputation, a lot of people got excited because they were using the products that protect them. And then they realized, hey, I can actually get paid in MetaToken for submitting or validating a link that is then used by the same software that is used to protect me, whether it's phishing or malware or XXX for parental controls or news reputation. So we do see some communities building up their Telegram groups for the sake of trying to demonstrate that they've got a lot of traction. But as I said, it's important to just dig into the group and see what the engagement is like, and see if people are really saying a lot of good things, or if they're just simply asking about the token price. That's a bad sign. When people in a community are only talking about the price of a token, that's not a good sign, because they're not there to talk about whatever the problem and solution is that the team is trying to address.
Right. Yeah, that's another office joke we have, that be it a Telegram or a Reddit, once it devolves into when moon memes, that's when you know the project is on the downhill. But yeah, man, that's
exactly. Somebody in our Telegram actually said something like that, like to the moon, and one of the administrators actually reacted and said, "Hey, please don't talk like that in here. We're here to talk about how to make the internet a safer place for everybody," which is great, because then their response was, "Oh, sorry, I totally get it. I use Kryptonite. I was just saying that I think this is an amazing project." And it's good to kind of just remind people all of the time, well, what is the problem and what is the solution, and is it actually important? Is it adding value to society? And can you really get community participation, and can you reward them for their participation? So thereby democratizing cryptocurrency and democratizing or decentralizing whatever it is that you're trying to achieve.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue into your, is it an ICO that you guys have coming up, or airdrop?
It's not incorrect to say ICO. However, the founder of Singular DTV wrote an amazing blog post to describe the difference between an ICO and a token. So I would urge people to read that rather than me trying to kind of badly paraphrase what he wrote so articulately well. But in short, we're launching a token, a utility token. And yes, the private sale will happen second or third week of June, with the public sale happening not too soon, not too far off after that. And really, it's to scale what we do already. As I said earlier, we have the world's biggest cyber threat intelligence system, which is that big database of URLs in 65 categories. But in order to be able to scale that, we need to crowdsource it. And to pick one specific type of problem that we address with the protocol, let's take the verification of domain names and social media accounts and crypto addresses. The problem there is that phishing websites are able to get SSL certificates for free, and they're issued automatically. So it's technically impossible to know the difference between the legitimate website and the phishing website by looking at the green shield or the green padlock. So what we do is we verify domain names, social media accounts, and crypto addresses, so that our browser extension Kryptonite turns our shield from black to green when you visit your website. ICO Alerts, for example, is verified. So if anybody using Kryptonite visits the ICO Alerts Twitter account, they should look out for the green shield. If it's not green, assume it's a fake Twitter account. And,
wow.
And so now we get exchanges and wallets and crypto companies coming to us saying, our users won't log into our website until they see the green shield. Can you please verify this for us? And as you can imagine, that would be very time consuming for a small company like MetaCert. In fact, if you combine all the cybersecurity companies in the world, they couldn't possibly scale that in the way that is needed with the growth of the web in order to scale it across the verification of companies, social media, bots, APIs, and so on. So what we're doing is putting it on the Ethereum blockchain, building a reputation system, and adding to that a token, so that you have the incentive for people to behave in a good way and to pay them for it. So now what will happen is, and then also we have wallets and exchanges that are integrating the protocol already. So picture this. There's a hardware wallet called CoolBitX, coolbitx.com. It's the size of a credit card. It has a secure Bluetooth connection to a smartphone. So it's an awesome hardware wallet. They're going to bake MetaCert in, which means when you go to send crypto from that wallet, it will check the protocol. If it's a known phishing wallet address, it will prevent you from sending your crypto. And when it's a verified address, it will actually put a green shield in the application to indicate that it's verified and it's safe. Now, that would mean a lot of crypto companies will want to have their addresses verified. Otherwise, people won't send their crypto to that address. So if we look at the end-to-end process, ICO Alerts does a great job in verifying so many data points with regards to ICOs and tokens. So ICO Alerts could give to MetaCert protocol a list of verified crypto addresses and add to that user submissions or people who want to be verified. So if you're a company launching a token or launching an ICO, go to ICO Alerts or go to the direct to the MetaCert protocol, pay some tokens, and then the network will validate that verification information, and in return, they will get paid in tokens, which means you're decentralizing and you're removing MetaCert from why should I trust this address, and you're also scaling it across the entire web. And then the wallets will pay in tokens in order to be able to make use of that registry to demonstrate to their customers that you are much more safe when using a wallet that's got MetaCert protocol baked into it, because it would be almost impossible to fall for a phishing scam if you're buying tokens from a new ICO or a new token company which has verified their wallet and they've got everybody to use a wallet that's protected by MetaCert.
Nice. That's fantastic. And it's involving users as well. So when...
And they just happen to be passionate about it. All of the people in the crypto world are passionate about it. Now, take, for example, another data economy that we have on the protocol. We've got a lot of adult content. We've got the biggest database of XXX websites classified in the world by a lot. And that's used by numerous parental control software, including our own. So imagine the incentive that parents and guardians have to submit websites that are not yet classified and then get paid for that when other people verify the information. And then it gets used by the same software that's protecting their kids. And then you have the same for news, you have the same for malware, and you have the same for any other type of kind of content or web asset that you would either want to avoid or find.
How do you guys handle bad actors who, this kind of the kind of like crowdsource model? It helps scaling, but those that kind of come in and want to slip something through the process. Let's say that happens. How do you guys handle that?
Well, this is why I'm so excited by the blockchain solution. It was never possible until now. There's no way you could have crowdsourced the trust and reputation of classification of websites and other web assets. It just wouldn't have worked. Whereas now what we do is, I'll give you one example of the token economics and token design.
Okay.
If you don't have a reputation when you join, because you could potentially have a reputation. So ICO Alerts, for example, will have a reputation with MetaCert, because we know that you are of a certain degree of credibility and trust. And other organizations and companies will have similar types of reputation. But let's say you don't have any reputation because there's no history or track record. You will be able to submit 5 domain names before all 5 have been reviewed and validated. And if all 5 have 100% agreement and they've been classified on the blockchain, then your reputation score increases a little bit. And that continues to happen as and when you classify stuff. The validators are chosen randomly. So it's not like you can say to a friend, hey, Robert, I'm going to submit these websites. Can you please verify them? And we'll cheat MetaCert by, misclassifying this information. You couldn't do that because they're chosen randomly. And then the experts and the validators are they're determined by the category type and the utility of the category. So you might be an expert in submitting and classifying websites under the category of sports. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll be good at categorizing phishing websites. So we would need experts, as we do have. We would have experts evaluate submissions for phishing. And so there's different types of categories. The one category that will be particularly difficult is news reputation. We have the world's biggest database of news-based classifications because we took all of the information from the fact checkers and other organizations and then added to that all of the social media accounts that they own. And we categorized all of that information. But moving forward, how do you get the consensus in society when determining what type of news content you're about to consume? So that's one of the categories that will be difficult to get. But the other categories are kind of easy. We've been doing this for a very long time. You know, with the parental controls during the first iteration of MetaCert, we used to have kids disputing, because you can always dispute something. We always had kids disputing known phishing, or not known phishing sites, but known adult websites. And then, you know, the team got tired of constantly saying, no, this is really a XXX website. So we built the technology and business logic so that if it was previously manually evaluated, it would send you a particular message on the web page automatically, directing you to open a ticket if you still thought it was a dispute. So there's a lot in there in terms of the token design and the reputation system. And it'll never be perfect, and we do need to decentralize the thought process in that also. So our white paper and our tech spec documents the way forward, but we would see that as something that needs to be iterated by participants in the community who determine what verified means. For example, currently it just means that it's not a scam, but it needs to be a little bit more kind of meaningful by way of code of conduct. You know, do we have 2 levels of verified, for example? So that's the decision-making process that we'll also democratize in the community by decentralizing that trust and reputation.
That's fantastic. Yeah, not a lot of projects are doing that. You know, that's fantastic on that front. When can users get involved? Do they have to be a part of the private sale or public sale? Or if, you know, let's say they miss it, when can they get involved? How do they get involved?
People are getting involved in the project right now. We have a lot of people across a lot of communities inside our community submitting links that they think should be categorized, whether it's a verifying a Twitter account or another social media account or a crypto address or a phishing address. And then we have other members in the community reviewing that information and helping us to classify it. So we already have people who are passionate and who are contributing. We just need to be able to get it onto a smart contract and be able to reward people for all of that hard work. So people can get involved now by going to our Telegram group, t.me/MetaCert. The private sale of the token will be 2nd or 3rd week of June, and then the public sale will be soon after that.
Okay, nice. So, and then, you know, sometime following that point, users will be able to be rewarded for helping categorize these URLs and whatnot?
Absolutely. Right? Very soon after. We're only a few weeks away from our test net. Our live main net is scheduled for September. So we're not, okay. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of time on our hands. If we were to come up with this now and write a white paper, we'd probably have about 2 years to 3 years to build the system. But because it's there, we kind of have to get the token economics and the design and the process right almost from day one. We need the system now in order to be able to not be held back by all of the submissions we have and not to upset exchanges or wallets who are not getting verified as quickly as they would like. So we need it as soon as possible. And we're quite excited about actually going live with that so people can actually get paid for the work that they do. And, you know, if it's possible, if we can, what I would love to do is to be able to give a basic computer or smartphone to developing communities in order to democratize cryptocurrency for them, because anybody anywhere in the world can contribute to our economy. And to get tokens from MetaCert, you don't have to have millions of dollars worth of equipment that burns holes in the ozone layer. You just need a computer or smartphone and the ability to just navigate a web page and tell people what you think the classification of a particular URI should be, and then sit back and wait for the tokens to hit your wallet.
Right. Do you guys have some kind of rough numbers on what some of these users, be they, you know, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where ICO Alert is, or in a developing country, do you have rough numbers on what they can make, be it per hour, per day, whatever the kind of the baseline is in, you know, helping kind of build out this community and build out this resource? I
don't have those numbers, but I would love to be able to make the time to try and figure out those numbers.
Right.
What we will do also is through Kryptonite, we're going to provide the ability for people to unlock tokens. So once the smart contract is available, the first 100,000 users of Kryptonite will be able to get free tokens inside their wallet. We're also in discussion with a number of other crypto communities or owners about enabling them to airdrop our tokens to their communities, because fortunately for us, we are actually horizontal to the entire industry. So if you think about it, there isn't a single person in the crypto world who doesn't benefit, who isn't a potential partner, customer, or end user of one of our tools. So we don't, we're not kind of competing for dollars or tokens with other crypto organizations. We're horizontal,
right,
and we show as much love to them as we possibly can to promote their projects. And we're lucky to be able to get promoted by them inside their own community. So we'll try and airdrop our tokens to as many people as possible, because, again, every single person in every crypto community could submit or verify links that then end up in the same software that they use to protect themselves. So they might as well get paid for it.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, people do that every day already in their Telegram groups or Slack groups or whatever the case may be. So yeah, you're exactly right. Why not get paid for it? I mean, this is awesome. I love the fact that the community, and like you said, horizontally across the crypto community, which is one that has its infighting sometimes, can come together on something that everyone agrees is needed. That's absolutely fantastic. So my next question would be, how did MetaCert get started? Like ICO Alert got started in a way that was not designed for it to be what it is today. What's the history behind MetaCert?
I'll try my best to give you a succinct and shorter version as I can, because it's actually a long story. I've been around the web for a long time. I joined AOL back in the 90s and built my first website in 1996. In 2003, I founded my first company, which was a software testing company that evolved into a web standards compliance certification company. What that basically means is we helped companies comply with web content accessibility guidelines so that their websites were more accessible to people with disabilities. And they would put our trust mark on their website to say, we've got this trust mark from Segala, and therefore we comply with more guidelines than other websites that may potentially not have the trust mark. But at that point in time, it was around 2004, I thought, actually, why should disabled people have to surf the entire web in order to be able to find out which websites are accessible to them personally? I need to be able to increase the size of text, or I'm blind, so I need to be able to use a screen reader, or I'm colorblind and I need to be able to get good color contrast and brightness and so on. And that's when I started thinking that Google search results only provide you with the title and description of each website. They don't tell you any more information. They don't tell you which websites have a security seal or a privacy seal or an identity certificate or are accessible to disabled people or are child safe. So I randomly met a colleague of mine, Phil Archer, who was the CTO of the Internet Content Rating Association, and their old standard called PIX was already in use by Internet Explorer and Apple parental controls for filtering. And we got together and we went to W3C and we said to Tim Berners-Lee, we have a better alternative based on the semantic web, which will mean that we can classify any part of a website and the metadata could be used by search engines and browsers to provide more information about search results. So the brainchild actually came in my first company. MetaCert then was kind of the first iteration of MetaCert, was a very laser focused, let's protect kids from adult content, because smartphones and tablets don't have parental controls. We're not interested in the net nannies or the other parental controls. We thought big, and over a period of about 12 to 14 months, we were evaluated by Apple and Samsung. We won the competitive tender with both. We were about to be integrated with about 1.3 billion devices, baked right in. And both companies around the same time said, the time isn't good for us. And so we went from being potentially the fastest growing security company in the world to we have no idea what the sales cycle looks like. And then we decided to look at other problems, and that was in-app security, because we predicted that the future of browsing would be inside apps instead of a browser, and with a web view. And then we decided to focus on the vertical of messaging within the app ecosystem, and then kind of you can take it on from there to how we landed in crypto. But really it was back in the days of 2004, 2005, classifying URLs so that you could find out more information about websites before visiting them.
That's fascinating. Tell me more about the prediction of apps over browsers. That's interesting. What do you see there?
Well, the W3C is the consortium. It's the Internet Standards Body, or it's the standards body for the World Wide Web, I should say, specifically. Started and still chaired by Tim Berners-Lee. I've helped to contribute to about 8 technical specifications. And at the W3C, I'm one of the 7 founders of the Mobile Web Initiative, when I was the first person to rewrite Tim Berners-Lee's vision of the One Web. And that was around 2005, I think. Around 2005. It was definitely way before the iPhone came out. So I was one of the first advocates of mobile web. And so I kind of grew with the web. I worked in the mobile industry, then I worked in mobile web. And it just didn't seem... I didn't think you need a degree in rocket science to see that applications were very likely to see an increase in web view usage, because it was the only way to display or open web content inside an application. And I Googled at the time secure web view, because browsers inherently have security built in. Might not be as good as what you would like, but it has some security built in. When I did my research about WebView, and WebView is basically a library provided by Apple for iOS apps and Google for Android apps. It's not something you can build yourself. It's like building a browser inside your application. In fact, you're not allowed to on the Apple platform. I'm not sure about Android. So I did some research and found that actually there was no security built in. And that's when I realized that this was going to be a future attack vector. So I filed a patent application which covers the checking of links for any reason inside a mobile application. Now, I don't go out telling people that, because actually patents are useless. They're just used by us to protect ourselves against the big players. But it does demonstrate that we've been doing this for quite some time.
Right.
And now today, if you look at any app on your phone, Slack, HipChat, Messenger, Skype, Telegram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, every single app, when you open a web link, it does not open in the web browser, the native browser. It flips around, and it opens it inside what's called the app web view. And that's why we decided to protect people from links inside applications, and ultimately kind of focused on messaging apps, because then we predicted that people would reduce their reliance on email in favor of messaging apps, because we were one of the first companies to build on top of the HipChat platform, and then one of the first on Slack, and then one of the first on Skype, and one of the first on Messenger. And if you look at it now, it's kind of obvious that messaging can be an attack vector. But back then, people didn't even consider applications as a potential attack vector, let alone messaging apps.
Right. Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. That's not a kind of a future thought that I've heard yet, but it totally makes sense.
I've talked a lot about how I've predicted, and how I've been early. So I'd like to just say, I feel like I'm late to the party with blockchain and cryptocurrency. I do not consider myself an expert in any shape or form like I would have in, say, mobile web or other areas of my career. I'm a novice. We are really good at what we do, and we surround ourselves with the smartest people in crypto to help us deliver what we're doing. I just want to make a note that I do not think I'm infallible or fantastic at everything. I think we're great at what we do, but we're very new to crypto, very new. I suppose about a week is probably a veteran these days. It's moving so fast, but 99% of people in the blockchain world are definitely more experienced than I am.
Sure, but the cryptocurrency and blockchain community is made up of folks who, like yourself, bring vast amounts of experience to the community and help better in a variety of ways, hopefully. So it's it's a brand new thing. Everybody's new to it to some degree. So plus you've got a killer accent, so you're steps ahead of folks like me anyway.
It's the microphone I have. I have this special microphone I bought off Amazon, and it comes with 10 accents. And I chose the subtle Irish accent for today's podcast interview.
Gotcha. Switch it up. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I won't
Cool.
I won't try and impersonate anybody else's accent, or I'll embarrass myself and insult somebody somewhere.
Right. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Cool. Well, final question I have for you, and then want to hear a little bit more about like the best way for folks to kind of get a hold of you or get a hold of MetaCert is, what are some of the exciting partnerships that are coming up for MetaCert protocol? I know we've talked a little bit about them offline, but just for those listening, what's coming up? If you're able to say.
No, I can't, certainly. I just want to say that we've got a lot in the pipeline that we can't mention because I haven't asked them for their permission yet. But there's a few I can definitely talk about, which give different kind of ideas as to how the protocol can be integrated. So one that I mentioned, CoolBitX, which is a hardware wallet that's going to protect people from sending their crypto to the wrong address. Then we have a new decentralized search engine called PreSearch, which has already done its token launch.
Mm-hmm.
And we're discussing how to provide more information inside PreSearch search results, which could be around more information about the news content, about the suitability of kids, malware, protection against phishing. So any one or all of those are being discussed right now. LA Token, there's a new decentralized browser. So we're in discussion with the founding team there to talk about how that browser can protect people from stuff that they would rather not see. There's a few other well-known web-based wallets that we're being integrated with. And of course, we want to partner with ICO Alerts. We would love to partner with you in order to be able to get verified information from you to put it onto the blockchain as kind of like an expert or an oracle or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of Element Group. Element Group is an amazing organization, a company that helps to launch tokens and ICOs. They provide end-to-end services from smart contract, token design, the sales platform, marketing, and we're partnering with them because they're now going to encourage all of their new customers to come to MetaCert for this packaged security solution where we help the companies protect themselves while giving them the tools to protect their communities and investors.
That's fantastic. I mean, it again, really hammering on the note that MetaCert exists within each community. And that's the goal. Will exist within each community. That's where I see the excitement and the potential. How can users get involved with you guys now? What's the best way to kind of reach out with questions or thoughts? Really driving home the point of community. MetaCertprotocol.com
is where people can find more information about the project, and then come to our Telegram group, t.me/MetaCert, where the community and the team are very, very engaging every day. So the Telegram community is probably the best way to engage with the team and the community. But after going to MetaCertprotocol.com to learn a little bit about the project.
Nice. Awesome. Well, get over there, contribute, guys. Let's see something like this that benefits everybody really expand throughout the community. And Paul, man, it's been a pleasure. Sorry I missed you in New York, like I said, but hey, looking forward to a lot of future conversations. Excited to see where MetaCert and MetaCert protocol continues to go and how it grows. So you guys keep killing it, man.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Mike. It's a great opportunity for us to get the word out. So we really appreciate it. Thanks.
ICO Alert maintains the only trusted comprehensive list of pre-ICOs and initial coin offerings. This Pittsburgh-based startup has grown to serve over 1 million users in less than a year. But how did it get started? Well, at first, the company was just an online tool for two brothers, Mike and Rob Finch, to keep a calendar of their favorite ICOs. After just a few months, the team has grown to over 14 team members and produced hundreds of ICO reports. These in-depth reports feature exclusive interviews and offer insight into past, active, and future ICOs. Head on over to ICOalert.com, meet the team, and use their game-changing My Portfolio function. Track your favorite blockchain projects. Become your own venture capitalist. Only at ICOalert.com.